a lot of time in Taiwan and met with Orbit many times. We filed many cases for Orbit and are very impressed with their document production team on the immigration side, as well as their ability to analyze the investment side of EB5 and choose good quality projects. So definitely a top-notch immigration agency serving the Taiwanese market. We're very pleased to work with them. What's happened is a regional center has filed suit in federal court against the US CIS, the Department of Homeland Security, alleging that the EB5 Modernization Act, which went into effect in November of 2019, was enacted illegally because it didn't sufficiently consider the economic impact of the new rules, and it exceeded the authority of the individuals that enacted those rules, which was enacted under the prior Trump administration. And the judge hearing the case back in March seemed quite sympathetic to those arguments and seemed to be indicating that she was likely to potentially enjoin the modernization rule. And if she does that, then it is quite possible that the investment amount would go back down to $500,000. But we're not going to know with any certainty until, of course, the court rules formally on the case. And I believe there's a hearing scheduled for sometime in May, which is when we hopefully will then have resolution on this issue. Yes, well, it's all complicated also by the fact that, of course, the program is set to expire on June 30th of this year. And so congressional action has to occur in order to extend the EB5 program. And it does seem like there is a vehicle for that to happen. Senators Leahy and Grassley, both of whom are very respected senators on either side of the aisle, have introduced EB5 legislation. So all of this is happening in a very complicated legal and political environment. So it's a little hard to game out exactly how this lawsuit might play in connection with the legislation. But there's certainly a lot happening. I think it shows that EB5 is an important program for the United States. EB5 is going to be around, I think, to assist the United States to emerge out of COVID. You know, EB5 played a very important role in 2009, helping the United States to emerge from that economic turbulence as a funding mechanism for many projects that otherwise wouldn't have been able to go forward. And many people think that EB5 can play the same role today in a post-COVID economic recovery. And I very much agree with that. And I think many Republicans and Democrats agree with that. So with respect to the merits of the case itself, I think initially people were skeptical of the lawsuit. I think people thought, you know, the ship has sailed. It's very unlikely to change. But the comments that the judge made during questioning betrayed a sympathy with the arguments being made by the regional center that brought the case. And after that, you're right, the industry largely felt that there was, in fact, a very good chance that the judge would issue an injunction against the modernization rules. Well, as I said, it's a great program, right? It's a popular program. I think a lot of people, because of this potential change, are looking at it. So we always historically have seen a rush occur anytime we get near a deadline. And I expect that that may happen here as we get closer and closer to June 30th. So if people are interested, they definitely want to start thinking about how they're going to fund the EB5 investment. That is, of course, one of the most important things that they have to decide and figure out and strategize with their agent, Orbit, and choose an investment and do the due diligence on the investment. And once they've done that, they can begin to assemble the documentation necessary for filing the I-526 petition. Depending on the source of funds, it can be quite voluminous. It can be somewhat technical. It may require going and finding records that are not readily available. So the more lead time an investor can have in putting together the source of funds, the better. Even if there's a little bit of uncertainty, it may make sense to begin to look at what is required and to start to think about what steps they should be taking now. What evidence is available if, for example, I want to use earned income or rental income, or if I want to mortgage a house, going through that analysis sooner rather than later is going to put them in a much better position to take advantage of any lower price point that we might see if a decision is ultimately rendered in the favor of the regional center that brought the suit. Even if the price remains the same, I have many clients in Taiwan that are still very interested in EB5. It is a great way to come to the United States, to bring the whole family to the United States. So even at $900,000 compared to most other investment programs around the world, it's a pretty good deal. And you get to come to the United States instead of Portugal. I love Portugal. Portugal is great, but I think we have better schools in the U.S., so I'm partial to that. So I think it's a great time in EB5. There are great opportunities to be had. People just need to educate themselves about what may or may not happen, decide whether they are really interested in potentially going forward, and then talk to experts like Orbit and look at potential investments like Lightstone. Again, I think EB5 is a great opportunity for people. And if people are listening to this, it means they're sitting in a seminar with Orbit and with Lightstone, two quality players in the EB5 industry. So I'm delighted that you invited me to speak with you today. And if I can be of any assistance in helping any clients that are in fact interested in going forward, even though I'm in New York, I'm happy to schedule a call to talk to a family about their concerns or questions so that they can decide whether to move forward or not.